Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Security forces in Kazakhstan say they have killed dozens of anti-government rioters in an operation to restore order in the main city Almaty. Cars were set on fire with gunshots heard ringing out around the city, while the mayor's office was also burnt by protesters. Authorities say at least 13 members of the security forces have been killed and 353 injured in the third day of unrest. Protests, which have often turned violent, were sparked by a doubling in the cost of liquefied petroleum gas. Russia is sending in troops at the request of the Kazakh president in order to help stabilize the country. The United States is marking 1 year since the deadly riot in Washington, where hundreds of people stormed the Capitol building.
I think we just have to face the facts. What happened?
Speaking at Congress on the anniversary, President Joe Biden blamed Donald Trump, saying his predecessor holds singular responsibility for the chaos and carnage. On the 6th of January 2021, Trump supporters stormed the building as Congress was meeting to certify Mr. Biden's presidential election victory. 140 police officers were assaulted, with 5 police dying in connection with the riot. Investigators have so far arrested 725 suspects in connection with the attack. The world #1 tennis player has had his visa to enter Australia dramatically revoked on his arrival in Melbourne amid a huge backlash over a vaccine exemption. Novak Djokovic was held in the airport for several hours before border officials announced he had not met entry rules. He was then taken to a government detention hotel. The court will decide on his deportation on Monday. It's thought he failed to provide sufficient proof to receive a medical exemption to enter Australia.
Ultimately, this is the responsibility of the traveller. It is for the traveller to be able to assert and back up their ability to come into the country consistent with our laws. And if they don't comply with the rules, then the Australian Border Force will do their job, and they have done their job. This is nothing about any one individual. It is simply a matter of following the rules.
North Korea says it successfully tested a hypersonic missile yesterday, its first major weapons test this year. The state media news website KCNA said it precisely hit a set target 700 kilometers away. It is the second reported test of a hypersonic missile, which can avoid detection for longer than ballistic missiles. The test comes as its leader Kim Jong-un had earlier vowed to bolster Pyongyang's defences. France is hoping to encourage the use of birth control methods among young women by making them free for under 25-year-olds amid concerns over the country's abortion rate. Young French women now have free access to the pill, intrauterine devices, diaphragms and morning-after pills. The French government said 3 million young women stand to benefit from the new measure, estimated to cost €21 million, and was introduced in response to a fall in the use of contraceptives. Australia and Japan have signed a defence and security treaty at a virtual summit in the latest move to strengthen ties amid China's increasing power in the region. Both parties met remotely to sign what's titled the Reciprocal Access Agreement. The strengthened security ties expand on efforts by the United States, Japan, India and Australia, dubbed the Quad, to work on shared concerns about China, including its pressure on Taiwan, trade disputes and freedom of navigation in the region. China responded by saying that bilateral treaties should promote regional trust, peace and stability. And finally, members of Turkey's Orthodox community have dived into icy waters of Istanbul's Golden Horn to celebrate the Epiphany, which marks the birth and baptism of Jesus Christ. The spiritual leader of the world's Orthodox Christians, who recently recovered from COVID-19, threw a wooden cross into the Bosphorus to set off the traditional race. 10 swimmers competed to retrieve the crucifix this year, after only 2 men were allowed last year due to restrictions. Galip Yavuz won the race to retrieve the wooden crucifix, which is supposed to bring the winner good luck over the coming year. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.